Novak Djokovic swiftly dodged answering questions about his 3-year ban from Australia. He touched down at Dubai airport, as angry fans launch 14 days of protest outside Melbourne Park after the star was deported. The Serbian player and his entourage were walking towards their gate to board a flight home to Belgrade when a passerby called out to him. "How do you feel about the 3-year ban?" a woman called out to Djokovic, who just moments before had been happily snapping selfies with airline staff and fans. The player stared resolutely at the ground and refused to answer as members of his team are heard protesting the touchy question. Confirmation of Djokovic's 3-year ban from Australia, issued by government officials on Monday, comes as hordes of angry tennis fans have pledged to hold a daily vigil outside Melbourne Park for the entire tournament. The demonstration, dubbed Occupy Australian Open, will protest the vaccination mandate that saw their beloved tennis star booted from the country. Stop the mandates. Scrap the Vax Pass. End medical segregation. Let Djokovic play, a poster reads, adding attendees are welcome to bring anything to make a noise. Sleeping bags, tarps, music, BBQs, megaphones and streaming devices are also recommended for the 2-week protest. On Sunday, the federal court ordered Djokovic would be deported after his lawyers failed to convince 3 senior judges of his right to remain in Australia. As he touched down in the United Arab Emirates en route to Europe, the Australian Open kicked off without him, with his name taped over on the official draw. In an interview with the Today Show on Monday, Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews confirmed the 3-year ban was the outcome of the court decision. The visa was cancelled by Immigration Minister Hawke, Ms. Andrews said. That cancellation was upheld by the federal court. So as a result of that, he will be banned from entry for 3 years into the country. Ms. Andrews said should Djokovic return to Australia with compelling reasons in the future that may be looked at, but that's all hypothetical at this point. Djokovic left Australia late on Sunday night after 11 days of remarkable legal wrangling saw the tennis champion finally exhaust his options, with the full bench of the federal court siding with Minister Hawke. He was escorted to Melbourne Airport by police on Sunday evening and boarded an Emirates flight to Dubai about 10:30 p.m., and will transit on to Spain. The controversial decision was met with shock by his fans, family and politicians back in Serbia, with Djokovic's outraged father labeling it an assassination attempt against his son, and President Aleksandar Vučić accused Australian officials of lying. But Scott Morrison, and millions of Australians, supported the move, with the Prime Minister saying he welcomed the decision to keep our borders strong. The Prime Minister did add that despite the 3-year ban there could be room for the tennis ace to travel back to Australia. It does go over a 3-year period, but there is the opportunity for them to return in the right circumstances, and that will be considered at the time, he said. The 34-year-old, who has been ordered to pay the federal government's legal costs, said he was extremely disappointed with the court's decision to dismiss his application, but that he respected its ruling. Advertisement. Home Affairs Minister Andrews on Monday acknowledged there were some issues around the interview process after the world number 1 was stopped at Melbourne Airport, but Djokovic was not entitled to enter the country, despite being granted a visa before arriving. Anyone coming into Australia, it is their responsibility that they are meeting the entry requirements. Just because you have a valid visa does not guarantee you will be able to enter Australia, she said. What was given to Mr. Djokovic on arrival in Australia, before he cleared our immigration processes, was the opportunity to be able to produce the documentation that was needed, which he could not. He wasn't fully vaccinated, which is a requirement. If you are not, you have to be able to provide medical evidence to support there is a medical reason why you can't be vaccinated. That was the issue at the border. The world number 1 was required to prove to the court that Mr. Hawk acted irrationally or legally unreasonably in choosing to use his discretionary powers under Section 133(c)(3) of the Migration Act to revoke Djokovic's visa. Chief Justice of the Federal Court of Australia, James Alsop, pointed out it was no part of the function of the court to decide upon the merits or wisdom of the immigration minister's decision, but had to view the case on a legal basis. Mr. Hawk said his decision on Friday was based on health and good order grounds, claiming the unvaccinated sporting celebrity's presence in Australia could excite anti-vaccination sentiment. Given the approval of Mr. Hawk's order, Djokovic will be barred from travelling down under until 2025, as those subjected to rulings under that part of the Migration Act are unable to be granted visas while offshore for a duration of 3 years. The sanction can be waived in certain situations, including compassionate or compelling circumstances that affect the interests of Australia,